All right, man. Listen, Teofimo Lopez might be in trouble versus Jamaine Ortiz. I noticed a pattern, y'all. And I'm gonna tell you what that pattern is. Let's talk about it. All right, Teofimo Lopez. Man, listen, you got to give Teofimo Lopez all the credit in the world. He's beaten two lineal champions. Outstanding performance in his last performance versus a Josh Taylor, the 140 lineal champion, knocked off Vasyl Lomachenko at 35. The lineal champion at the time. Remarkable resume and career up to this point so far. But listen, I've noticed a pattern. And maybe you guys can agree with me, maybe you won't. But I'm going to tell you what that pattern is. When you look at Teofimo Lopez at its best, it's been versus older fighters with a bit of an age gap there. At the time, Vasyl Lomachenko, I believe, was 31, 32 years old. Almost had a 10-year age difference with Teofimo Lopez. Now, listen, a lot of the times experience can trump the age gap, but sometimes with the right skill set, you can lean on that youth, and I truly believe that was the case versus a Vasyl Lomachenko, especially down the stretch in that fight. When you look at him versus a Josh Taylor, having that 5-6 year age gap with a Josh Taylor, I believe that helped him as well. But then when you look at the performances versus at the time a 28-year-old George Kambosos Jr. With relatively fresh legs at the time, you saw what happened there. You know what I mean? And then when you look at a Sandor Martin, who's 28 or 29 at the time, they fought relatively fresh legs. In that fight, you could see Teofimo truly struggle there. He actually lost to George Kambosos Jr., and he most definitely struggled with a Sandor Martin. And he has the tendency when the age gap isn't as big to fight to the level of his opponents, but they also can keep up with him physically, right? As far as the stamina goes. Now you have him going into a fight with an opponent that he's familiar with. If I'm not mistaken, they saw each other in the Golden Gloves final. I believe Teo got the win over Jamaine Ortiz at that time, but this is a 27-year-old Jamaine Ortiz. Teofimo, 26 years old, and now you have that age gap closed again. So again, if you go back and look at it, great fights versus the older fighters, the older, more experienced, accomplished champions, lineal champions. But when you got in those fights with the more youthful, more stamina, more better leg fighters, he tend to struggle. All right. And I don't think this is going to be any difference with Jamaine Ortiz, who gave Vasyl Lomachenko all he could handle. And I wouldn't have been mad if Jamaine Ortiz would have at least gotten the draw in that Vasyl Lomachenko fight. Wasn't mad at Lomachenko winning, but I thought Jamaine Ortiz could have did enough, especially in those early rounds, to get that draw. But with Teofimo now versus a 27-year-old Jamaine Ortiz, you could likely see him struggle again, as Jamaine Ortiz is an extremely slick fighter, very, very good footwork, a nice jab. Early on in the fight, I could see him being a problem, very difficult to hit. The only thing is he doesn't have the power factor that I would like for him to have in this fight to garner some type of respect for Teofimo Lopez. At some point in this fight, I think Teofimo Lopez might try and steamroll him and get him out of there. But very, very I want to say elusive Jamaine Ortiz is. So you accompany that with the footwork of a Jamaine Ortiz. I just think he has everything to give Teofimo Lopez some real trouble. Don't be surprised if this is a split decision. And that's what I'm going to call this. When I think Teofimo Lopez does enough to squeak past Jamaine Ortiz, I wouldn't be surprised if Jamaine Ortiz got a draw or actually won this fight. But I would call it for Teofimo Lopez by split decision, and I don't think he looks great in this fight. All right, that's all I got for y'all on this one, man. Big Teo heavy bag. Let me know what you think in the comment section, man. Talk to him, Roger.
Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing.